somebody's got to take the microphone from Landon Donovan and Tim Howard. I have the utmost respect for these gentlemen in terms of their playing career. They're legends for the U.S. men's national team. They're legends for CONCACAF. But as podcasters, mother of God, we got to do better than this, y'all. I love me a good hot take. You guys go at me in the comments all the time, but I don't think I've ever said anything as ludicrous as what these two gentlemen say on a consistent basis. In fact, I've already done a previous episode about opinions from Tim Howard and Landon Donovan. I recorded it with Tactical Manager. It was about Patrick Agyemang and how they said if he had a first touch, he'd be playing for FC Barcelona. We need a word stronger than bias to describe that, because that's outlandish, man. Politicians aren't that dishonest. And now we're back here again. This is becoming a series, part 2 in the Landon Donovan Tim Howard podcast. And the subject of today's video is their opinion on Max Arfsten. For context, he plays for the Columbus Crew. He played for the United States at the Gold Cup this summer as well. Middlesbrough submitted a $3 million bid for him, and the Crew rejected it. And we're going to play a very quick clip here today where they are talking about that transfer and they're giving their thoughts. And I'm just warning you now, if there's any children in the room, you might want to take them out, because this opinion is rated R for ridiculous.
I mean, Middlesbrough, man, like pay us like you owe us. This is crazy. You know, he's a young, up-and-coming U.S. national team player.
Let's stop it right there. Fallacy number 1. Max Arfsten is 24 years old. Is 24 a prospect? Is 24 up and coming? 24, I mean, you're a full-grown man, dude. This is not some guy playing for the U20s. You're not at the age where you can be a sign and stash like a Gaga Slonina or like a Stefano Carrillo for Feyenoord. If a club's buying a 24-year-old, you better be ready to play now. And in the history of CONCACAF, as we all know, if you're, familiar with the region, most players need to be in Europe by 24. Like, that's the cutoff. Yes, there are exceptions, of course, but typically you want to be over there by 21, 22 years old. In the exceptions that we've seen older players go abroad, they weren't up-and-coming guys for the national team. They were not solid MLS players, which I would categorize Max Arfsten as a good MLS player. No, if you're leaving the MLS at 25, 26, you're like Tati Castellanos. You're one of the best players in your position at the league, and you've probably been that for a couple seasons. Cucho Hernandez is another example. Again, it's possible, but it's rare. And to my knowledge, it's never been an American. Cucho's Colombian and Tati Castellanos is Argentine. I don't think there's an American example of that, at least that I can think of, and at least not one that went for more than $5 million. Jordi Mihailovic maybe was 24 when he went over. I don't know. So right off the bat, we're being a bit dishonest.
Right? More than likely going to be on the World Cup roster if he continues this way.
What does that have to do with anything? Not every player at the World Cup is worth more than $3 million. This metric is a nothing burger.
The rest of the world, wake up, man. This is such a slap in the face. People who constantly complain about us banging the drum about like, woe is me with the American player. This is an example of it.
Mm-hmm.
If this was a young French kid, a young French left back who just cracked in the national team,
20 million.
Who just played, it'd be 20 million.
Wow, so they actually did say that. Okay, I saw it on Twitter before I recorded. What type of robots and sheep do they think they're creating content for? Max Arfsten, who not a single U.S. men's national team fan would have him as the #1 left back on the depth chart, by the way. Nobody would say that. And if you've ever seen someone, whether they be an MLS simp, or a Max Arfsten's dad, or a Columbus Crew stand, you need to block them on Twitter and never interact with them again. They're going to do some serious damage to your life. By making this comparison, you're insinuating that the United States and France are at least at a similar power level. A team that made back-to-back World Cup finals and won one of them. I understand these guys have sponsors and they're probably being requested to say things, but this is just destructive. If you want to successfully use Landon Donovan and Tim Howard as a pawn, and again, I don't know if that's actually happening, but of course they do have those sponsorships behind them, like I said, why would you want them to destroy their own credibility? Because this is really a destructive statement to make.
You can't get a bag of balls for $3 million.
Dude,
right?
I didn't even know
know
$3 million was a bid anymore.
For CONCACAF legends, these guys really don't keep track of what happens in the rest of the region, do they? $3 million is a very common and in some cases expensive transfer fee for many clubs to pay. Ismael Diaz, for example, the guy who played for Panama, who scored 6 goals at the Gold Cup, the same Panama team that's beat your ass 3 times in a row, was the best player at Católica in Ecuador, and he just went for $500K to León in Liga MX. Rodrigo Huescas, who is a better player then Max Arfsten went to Copenhagen from Liga MX for $2 million. Mateo Chavez, another example, Mexican left back, 2 years younger. I believe Mateo Chavez is 22 years old, went to Alkmaar for $2 million. Kaori Mitoma, who many consider to be the best Asian player on the planet right now, cost Brighton $3 million when they bought him from the J League. So why is this a slap in the face? You just don't pay attention. You don't do your research.
Hats off to Columbus for saying, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. Like, because here's the other thing. Mihailovic just went for $8 million plus $1 million add-on.
Exactly.
So I'm looking at this.
And he flopped. Guess who's back in MLS? Mihailovic.
Looking at this. If I'm in the league and I'm like, I got money to spend, I'm going in with a bid of $4 million.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, well, hang on. Mihailovic just went for $8 to $9 million. I can get into a great point. Great fee. $4 million for Max Arfsten?
Oh, wait a minute. So you're actually mad that the bid wasn't $4 million? It was $3 million? You're mad about $1 million. Jordi Mihailovic is also not a fullback. Everybody knows strikers, wingers, and attacking midfielders go for more money than fullbacks. It's just like in the NFL where certain positions are gonna get more money. The top 5 most expensive fullback sales in the history of MLS. Number 1, Alphonso Davies when he went to Bayern Munich for $17 million. He was also 18 years old, so important context there. He's also had 17 GA in his final season, and Max Arfsten has barely more than that in 3 years. Brian Reynolds went to Roma for $8 million, flopped as well. So, you know, maybe sending guys over there that don't do as well, maybe that has something to do with Middlesbrough not being willing to pay so much. Julian Araujo, want to talk about guys who also flopped and didn't work out, joining Barcelona for $6 million. That didn't go out so well. Now he's a bench guy at Bournemouth. Omar Campos, leaving the Cruz Azul for $4 million, a very recent transfer. And Alistair Johnston to Celtic for $3.5 million. Now, the Johnston one is a bit interesting to me because Johnston was also 24 years old when he left. Everybody else, I think, was between, well, Davies was 18 and maybe like 20 to 22 years old. I don't know how old Brian Reynolds was when he left, but I believe he was about 21, 22. So Alistair Johnston, when he was sold to Celtic, was $500K more than what Middlesbrough bid for Max Arfsten. So if one of the best fullbacks in CONCACAF at 24 went for 3.5 mil, why is it insulting? Why is it a slap in the face? Why is it offensive to American players that Max Arfsten received a $3 million bid? I don't get it. Even if we want to compare this to another recent bid for somebody like Alex Freeman, who Villarreal were reportedly willing to pay $6 million, which again, guys, for a non-Premier League club, that's a lot of money to spend on a prospect. And the difference here is I would classify Alex Freeman as a prospect because he's 21. Max Arfsten is 24. He is not a prospect anymore. And Orlando said no. They wanted more money. They probably want $9 million plus. This is the problem when you're trying to sell to leagues outside of the Premier League. Not everybody has a lot of money to spend. So an American, I would even say a CONCACAF prospect, is classified as a medium to high risk signing. The last thing I want to mention here is how this affects potentially the U.S. men's national team. Because right now the whole dialogue is this golden generation was overrated from the start and that now they're just disappointments. And people, myself included, do get annoyed with U.S. fans because a lot of U.S. fans are really annoying and completely delusional. But if Alexi Lalas's show, and if this show with Tim Howard and Landon Donovan is where they're getting their information from, can you blame them? If they're logging on to YouTube in the morning and they see their favorite player ever say that Max Arfsten should be going for $20 million, or Max Arfsten, if he was French, would be so much highly coveted, and that Americans are just disrespected abroad, and Americans never receive huge transfer fees, which is ridiculous. Malik Tillman just went for $40 million, but whatever. You're going to be indoctrinated into this completely false mindset of the footballing world. Like, this is not real. This is not reality. And so, yeah, when the Copa America comes around or the World Cup comes around, people are going to be thinking like, wow, Patrick Agyemang, he's good enough for Barcelona. I mean, freaking Diego Luna, he should be in the Premier League. Max Arfsten, he would be a $20 million player. It's just his passport, like, we got to be making the semifinals or we suck. You see how this can snowball into something that just creates a really bad environment around the team. And I don't think this helps the U.S. men's national team fan base civil war between the European guys and the MLS guys. The Paxton Aronson situation that's going on right now is also making that worse. And you having some voices for the MLS side now, which I'm going to classify these guys as MLS spokesmen, saying that Max Arfsten should be $20 million, and they're probably advocating for Paxton Aronson to come back the divide is just getting worse. If everybody could just be a little bit more honest and a little bit more tempered in their opinions, I think the situation would improve. But there's clearly no cool heads, at least on one side of the aisle. And yeah, those are my thoughts. That's why I don't like this. It's not just about Max Armstrong. I'm not trying to pick on Max Armstrong. I don't care about the MLS really. I just see stuff like this and I'm like, this is ridiculous. And you know what? When I see Asian content creators gas up Japan, I call it out. When I see Mexican reporters gas up Santi Jimenez, I call it out. When I say something ridiculous, y'all call me out. That's what we have to do. We have to keep everybody in check. Yeah, I guess checkmate to Tim Howard and Landon Donovan. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one.